Well, I do see that we have the world famous Mr. Kokumo in the queue, so I'm gonna bring him
All
up.
right.
Say thank you so much for joining us. Sorry for the miscommunication here, but we've got him in the chat, Mr. Kokomo with the U. It's
That's
not
him.
all O's in there like the Beach Boys want it to be.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you so much for having me in here. What's up,
yeah,
Max?
thank
What's up,
you
Box?
What's up, man?
introduce
Hey,
yourself.
man.
Can you? I think a lot of people were really touched by your immediate reaction to the verdict because we can see your face the whole time as Shannon and Max are hugging, and you're obviously tearing up. I mean, can you take us inside that moment? What was going on?
Honestly, I like what it was for me. Like, this was probably one of the most emotional trials that I've ever been through, witnessed, and like getting real close with Shannon, getting real close with Max, Bots, and also Doug, and Diamante, where like, wow, all this argument, all this time spent. I mean, like, one thing I can say is, like, I think Max brought it up earlier, how he knows the discovery inside and out, all the hard work Max has done and Bots have done. Like, honestly, like an accumulation of all that and getting him not guilty on the charges. Like, some of the charges were like, it's like, I mean, hard,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
heartfelt.
That somebody asked us to go back to the summer, and I'm sure the answer is great, right? You guys are all happy when Brian was arrested for contempt. He deserved it, right?
Well, that was like
Obviously, that
another
was-
blackout. Yeah, that was like another
Yeah.
blackout moment for me, because I have like no recollection. All I remember is me taking Brian's possessions and texting Colette, but I don't really. That was just one of those, I guess, stressful moments that your brain doesn't retain it.
Did you think that at that moment in time, I mean, you're not thinking about, oh, in 6 months there's going to be a verdict and this is all just going to seem so silly, but how do you compare that moment in the trial to the acquittals and where you are now?
It was, I mean,
Bad versus good.
nothing compares. I think the Brian being held in contempt, what that did is that drew a lot more attention to this case. It was already a high profile case, but it just got out of control at that point.
Yeah.
And it became, we became the side that everyone was rooting for, it seemed, or most people were rooting for.
Yeah.
And that is a unique experience, and it can't be quantified what that means. But I just felt it just gave me a sense that things are going to work out when the public was behind us so strong.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was going to work out.
But also, it was the beginning of the reason the judge was recused. Yes. That was the beginning of it. Yes. That started the whole matter. That changed the whole trial.
Yeah.
Everything about it. Brian was all of a sudden a hero for standing up for what was right. And a new judge came in and everything changed, as Max has already said. So it was, I didn't like to see it at all. But as it is, he stood up for right, and he's been upheld by everybody as being exactly what he is, just a preeminent lawyer and just somebody that was right and knows the law and did what was right. And the Court of Appeals, threw it right out and said, this is not contempt. And then all of a sudden they wound up essentially getting us a new judge, which just turned everything around.
Yeah.
So I have to correct, if he had not stood up like that for his rights, we might have been still on trial for another year. I don't know.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And what I saw when the increased attention that this got, we had the original trial watchers, a lot of lawyers and just people around the country became interested in just the idea that a lawyer had been jailed for contempt like that. But then we had the true crime online crowd seem to start paying attention to the trial. But then there's also the conservative MAGA crowd that's upset about Trump's prosecution in Fulton County. Right. And it seemed like they really started paying attention to this. So we had this kind of, I don't know if the right word is beautiful, but it was such a diverse group of people.
Right.
against this case. It was like, wow, that's remarkable. But I wanted to get to a comment here. Kokumo is going to make a great lawyer. He has some of the best teachers. And can you talk about how, I mean, obviously this case has only inspired you further, right, Jack, to pursue being a lawyer? Where are you in that? And have you taken the LSAT yet?
So I've already taken the LSAT. I did great on the LSAT. Right now, honestly, I'm just waiting for my letter of recommendations from Max.
I've been busy, Shaq. I've been busy. I'm gonna get it. I'm
waiting on my letter of recommendations. I will be submitting all my applications in the honestly in the next couple of days once those are kind of done. And how this trial has kind of impacted me. I know a lot of people say it all the time where it's like, you've been on a trial for over a year and you've honestly gotten more trial experience than a lot of people in law school. So learning like how to argue different motions, how trial procedures actually work real life. I mean, I think I can classify this as like trial 101, like a trial 101 class.
Oh yeah, you already have more trial experience than probably some of your law professors. So somebody says, am I missing something? Why did the state just kind of jump over the third car? And maybe that's the kind of question that they're talking about right now in their case review meetings or something. But why did the state jump over the third car that pulled up before the U-turn? I've heard others say this too. Because to be clear, there was the third car that pulled up, and then the fourth car behind it is the one that you did the U-turn. But
it's really the fourth car and the fifth car, right? Because there's three of the right. I don't know, but I mean, they make their own decisions, but you know, we didn't ignore that. So that's what.
How surprised were you, or how excited were you when during the direct examination when they weren't really addressing that? And Al Hogan even said, "Oh, that's kind of odd that it did that, but didn't expand." Did you see that as a gift to you, or?
Well, that's why, and I don't want to sound ungrateful because that's not my point, but that's why I was kind of like, man, I wish people would stop sending me this information because I know it. But at the same time, if I respond and say, I know, the one thing I know, the state's following my Twitter, right? So if I say, I know, then they know I know. So I was just holding in the back pocket, and that's all it was. And, you know, I don't know if people didn't realize it. I don't know if you know, they were making a strategic decision. I can't speculate on that, but you know, I thought it was interesting. And Detective Hogan, I don't, first of all, he's a very nice man.
Seems like it.
And I think he's a good detective. But I think, and he's very honest too. If you saw him on the stand, when I asked him questions, he didn't, you know, turn it to something else. He answered my question. And I just think one thing that happened in this case, which was unfortunate, was they didn't have the video, and except a FedEx employee had the video, and it was just described to the detectives what the video showed. And so no one in law enforcement saw the video before arrest warrants were taken out. And I thought that was where everything went sideways, because obviously the FedEx video, I mean, the FedEx employee was just like, yeah, 3 cars pulled up on the light and, you know, 1 car didn't move anymore. So that's where things went wrong on that case, in my opinion. And, you know, I made sure that we tried to bring that out to the jury. But yeah, so I can't answer what they were thinking, but you know, we knew what the video showed in our mind, and it was just a matter of conveying it to the jury.
Yeah. Well,